In the last 10 years, SNAC has provided fighter training stack supplements to more than 20 world champions, including Mikey Garcia, Demetrius Andrade, and Caleb Plant. If you're ready to take your fight game to the next level, the SNAC Fighter Training Stack is for you.
And when I first heard about the organization, it really piqued my interest because it's something new and something we haven't seen before. You coming in, when you were approached with it, what were your initial thoughts of it, and were you kind of taken aback at first?
Well, when I first looked into Bareknuckle Boxing, it really made me think. I was like, what is this? Why would people do this? And I didn't really know what to think about it. So I watched the first fight, and I was like, okay, after a few seconds, I said, this is something I have to do. You know, it wasn't what I thought. It was more technical. It was a more thinking man's sport. It was a lot more skill involved than I thought I gave it credit for. I thought it was more skill involved with that than regular boxing, to be honest with you, because you have to be very precise with your punches. You can't just go in there and start winging punch. You're going to break your hand. You're going to get cut open. So it was more technical than I thought, and that aspect of it made me think it's something I have to try.
You as yourself, I know it's been a struggle. I know it's still a struggle. How is it at this point, and what do you think is your biggest challenge to getting the sport accepted and really getting the commissions to come through with licensing it?
I think it's just a little bit more time as we're unraveling all these shows and the injury reports are coming out. And with 70 fighters fighting, we've had one broken hand, one broken thumb, and one broken nose, less than boxing or MMA in any show that you ever go to. So I think it's just a little more time and getting people a little more used to it, and that'll change their perception that they have on it. But a lot of more commissioners are answering their calls now. They're calling me back. So we're in talks with a lot of different states. And like I said, a little bit more time, and we're going to solidify ourselves as a real player in combat sports.
How did this all come to happen? Like, what was the genesis of it, and really what made you go look at this and be like, you know what, I got to do this. This thing's exciting. It's different. I got to make this happen.
I was a boxing and MMA promoter, so I promoted a lot of shows in the past, and I was promoting a show in Arizona, and a fighter came up to me, Bobby Gunn, who was going to fight for me, and he started telling me about his heritage as being a gypsy traveler and how they would fight in fields and they would solve family things with bare knuckles. And I was like, bare knuckle? Wow, that sounds really cool. So I started really diving into it and researching it a lot more. And I was like, I told him, I said, I'm going to do one of these shows. So in 2011, I did one bare knuckle fight on an MMA undercard, and it went gangbusters. But then the negative perception of it didn't allow us to go forward with it. So I've been working on this now for almost 9 years. 29 states, 28 said no. We got a yes by the 29th state, and now some of those 28 states are coming on board now. So we're definitely making some headway, and we're solidifying ourselves.
It's such an interesting parallel towards MMA when it was starting out. It seems like you share such the same story with them, getting acceptance, getting the commissions on board. I don't know, it's just everything seems very, very similar to that story and how it ended up growing.
It definitely is very similar, and actually I think I'll defer this to Chris, because Chris was actually there when the UFC started turning a little bit and started becoming a little more popular, so he can tell you what happened with the UFC and now what's happening with bare knuckle.
Yeah, I started fighting with UFC back in the year 2000. So, that was when you talked to people about fighting in the cage, and they looked at like you said, you ate babies for breakfast. Just like, what is wrong with you? So that perception has changed, because it's become more mainstream, because people understood, this isn't more dangerous than boxing. And I will fight, with everything saying that bare knuckles less dangerous than boxing or MMA to your brain. You might get cut open more, but there's going to be a lot less brain damage. I know when I first started boxing, I would see people who'd been boxing 20 years, and I got scared to death. I'm not going to end up like that. I can't understand what he's saying. You're not going to get that with the bare knuckle boxing, but the only reason I'm still competing is because I don't take the damage that I used to. So the perception of that needs to change, but that is the biggest problem right now. Look forward to that being changed by people like myself and people who actually watch the sport and actually pay attention, like, oh, this isn't what I thought. But it's all about exposure and people seeing it, and then once they see it, they understand it. Does that make sense?
How different is it when you're in there compared to how you used to compete in MMA? Obviously, you can't do, the ground stuff and the kicks and everything, but how is it when you're hitting somebody bare knuckle?
The main thing is you've been taught so long that, you can't hit anything with bare knuckle. You have to wrap your hands after this, and all of a sudden it's like you're in there, you feel naked at first, like, oh my God, what's going on? This guy's going to hit me. But I mean, a fight's a fight, and after you've been in so many, I've been fighting for so long and had over 100 professional fights, the preparation, all that stuff is the same, the mindset's the same. It's just little technical things that are different. So I can deal with the technical differences, and that's just why my training, that's what that comes involved with. But it's like the mindset is the same. You just have to know how to do the little things different, and that's what I've been working on. That's what I'm learning how to do better.
And I'm looking at your hands, man. You got huge knuckles too.
Well, they've been broke a lot, so. But that was from MMA years, and that was from boxing years. But surprisingly, I haven't had as many problems right now with bare knuckle. But like I said, it's still a new sport. I'm still pretty new at it. I'm excited to keep learning though.
Is it still exciting when you're in there? Does it still feel the same feeling?
Absolutely. This is all I want to do now because it is a new sport to me. It's something different. It's not MMA. It's not boxing. It's something to me. It takes part of those things that I love and kind of makes it a new thing. And I'm excited to be here at the ground level. I'm excited to be here as, the sport is growing and people are going to know who it is in a few years or what it is. They're going to be like, oh, that's one of those guys who was at bare knuckle fight. I can't wait till the time people don't know me as an MMA guy. They know me as a bare knuckle guy. I'm looking forward to that.
For you, what's the end goal you feel? Like, what do you want to accomplish with this, and where do you see this sport headed to and could go?
Well, I think with just 3 fights deep and the networks and the different people that are talking to us right now, it's actually beyond my wildest expectations. I didn't think we were going to get here this fast, and the acceptance that we're getting now is it's unbelievable to us. I think what I want to do is I want to be a major player in combat sports, and I think that with my company, the way that we're structuring everything and the fighters that we have on, like Chris, who's coming to fight and being a great ambassador for this sport, I think that we're going to be a major player by the end of 2019 and beginning of 2020. We're really opening a lot of doors. We're going international in only our 4th fight, so a lot of great things are happening for Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
What changes would you like to see, or what new things do you want to incorporate that's going to set you guys apart from all the other combat sports, and you feel that it'll be better than all the other combat sports?
I think it's just the action of the fights. I don't really think I'm going to change much. I mean, our ring is specially designed. It's awesome. The fighters are coming to fight. I just want to make sure that we pick the right fighters that are ready to throw down and put their heart and soul into every single fight. And as long as we do that, we don't really need to change anything. The rules are great. Like I said, the rules are great, the fighters are great, and the ring's great, and the atmosphere is great, and people love it. It's fast-paced, nonstop action, all fight long, all night long. It's just, it's great stuff.
How is it the selection of fighters on the card? How is that aspect for you being the promoter and selecting who gets on where and calling people, be like, hey, participate in my event?
It's really trial and error right now. As we've had a couple dud fights, but most of the fights have been very, very exciting, so we've been pretty good at picking them. I'm actually matching a lot of fights myself because I want to be responsible for if it's good or if it's bad. I can't blame anybody. I blame myself. And so far, I can pat myself on the back. We put some really, really good fights on it. And we're getting reached out to by a slew of different fighters. And I think it's a combination of how good you can fight, but also your personality and how well known you are, what kind of social media reach you have, things like that. But first and foremost, you have to have the heart to get in there and fight bare knuckle. And if you do, that says a lot right there. And it says that you're probably going to put on a good fight.
I was thinking when this came out, because I've seen a lot of the bare knuckle documentaries of the travelers back in Europe, and I was thinking, man, those guys at some point are going to look at this, and if it's making money and making a lot of noise, they're going to be like, we need to get in on this. Are you already thinking that potentially you could bring that crowd from over there into this?
We're definitely, like I said, we're being reached out to by everybody, all walks of life, and they are some as well. We just want to solidify ourselves a little more before we start letting everybody into this game. There's going to be some competitors that are going to do the same type of thing that we're doing, but as long as we go out in front and put on the great show that we do, have the great fighters we do, and make sure the fighters fight their butts off, in every one of the fights that we do, I think we're going to be really hard to catch.
With the commissions, what do they want to see from the company in order for it to get licensed in the other states? Because obviously the goal is to get licensed by Nevada or New Jersey or California, because when you got that, everybody else will come on board.
Again, I think it's just a little bit more time so that way I can go to them instead of with 3 fights and say we have 1 broken hand, 1 broken thumb, and 1 broken nose. I can go to them with 12 fight cards and say, look, well, now we have 3 broken hands, 2 broken thumbs, and 2 broken noses, and they have to allow me, because if they don't allow me, then they're not looking out for the safety of their fighters.
I saw the documentary on Vice. I thought it was that's what got me interested in it, to be honest. And for a long, long time, I've been wanting to talk to you about this because it's something that does pique my interest. And when I look at it, it is exciting. But I saw at the end, you're getting served papers, and it's still a struggle. Like touch on that aspect, like how much of a struggle and a grind it is at this point still.
It's a real struggle and a grind, and I would be a liar if I didn't say every other day I just throw the towel in my mind and say I'm done with this. But you know what? I see where this is going to be. I know where it's going to be, and I think it's going to be worth the struggle. You know, it's a lot of pressure on me. It's a lot of pressure on my family. But I think my family and myself and my team and everybody that works with me is going to be very, very happy in about a year and a half from now, and we're all going to know that the struggle is worth it.